Seth Rich's parents have they've basically sued Fox for saying that it was Seth Rich who gave the information to WikiLeaks, and Seth Rich's parents have come out and are suing Fox over that. So Fox have subpoenaed Julian Assange to go to court to give evidence. It puts him in a difficult situation because WikiLeaks and himself have always maintained that they never reveal their sources. So
that's right.
It's a bit of a catch-22.
And what complicates matters even further is the fact that the US government have now issued a new set of indictments, different from the ones which they originally tabled or filed in the British justice system. So that would have been in 2019.
There's no new charges.
There's no new charges.
Yeah.
It's a what do they call it? A superseding indictment.
The whole thing is an absolute farce.
Yes. As far as I understand, America in that court have not put up a single good argument for why he should be sent to America.
Yeah. It seems like they're clutching at straws to me, you know.
Now there's also the argument that it's to do with delaying it till after the US election.
The whole thing is a farce.
Yeah.
So what have you got in the American election? What do you have? You've got two candidates, absolutely vile candidates, right? Trump and who's the other guy? Biden. You know, both of these war criminals, they both represent the richest elements in American society. They both represent, right, a foreign policy which is absolutely hostile to the rest of the world. And here's another point, right? You know, every human being on the face of the planet should be voting in the American elections, right? I mean, the people of Iraq they should have had the right to vote on whether they should have been invaded or not, right? I mean, every human being is affected by US foreign policy, right? Everyone is. I remember back in the early 2000s, CIA officials or soldiers, American soldiers would actually kidnap people from the streets of cities around the world, including, I remember one case in Milan, Italy. They kidnapped a person, put them in a plane somewhere, and sent them to a black zone where they were, no one knew about their disappearance, no one knew about their location. So that's what they call rendering, right? So they rendered a whole group of people, literally kidnapped them off the street, didn't go through the judicial legal process of extradition. They just literally kidnapped them, put them in a helicopter, flew them around the world, tortured them, and they ended up in Guantanamo Bay, right? So the US government has given itself the right to do that to anyone on the face of the planet, on the surface of the earth, right? How can America extend democracy to the world when it's not even democratic? How? America is a capitalist power. Capital does not allow democracy. It does not. The rule of a minority means that the majority can have no say. No say. Free Julian Assange. Exposure of war crimes. American war crimes in Iraq and Afghanistan. Lockheed Martin, they made a profit last year of $5 billion by making weapons that destroyed people's homes. $5 billion in profit for war. And not only that, but this week they were given a contract down at HMS Albatross on the south coast of New South Wales to tend to the Australian Navy's helicopters. War is a racket. It's a money-making machine. And while ever money's made out of war, you'll never ever have peace. And people like Julian Assange will never ever be free. You need the overthrow of capitalism for peace. You need the overthrow of capitalism to free Julian and all whistleblowers around the world.
They used to call 100 a grey nurse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went into a coffee shop once.
War is a racket, and Julian Assange is a victim of that war. A war against the people of the world and a war against journalism. The two go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. If you want peace in the world, you have to fight for Julian Assange's freedom. The two are absolutely inseparable. The world is ruled by criminals, and the innocent are punished. Journalists who tell the truth go to jail, while those who are exposed by those revelations are sit in power and are rewarded handsomely, both in position and financially. Overthrow the capitalist system that generates war, poverty, misery, destruction of infrastructure. Hello, my friends.
Free Julian Assange.
Free Julian Assange.
Activist, very good person. Free. Thank you.
Where are you from, my friend?
From Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe, Harare.
Yes, that's the one.
Well,
Julian Assange, very good person.
oh, he's a wonderful, he's a hero. He's a hero.
People don't understand. People don't really pay attention to what he has done.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm not religious at all, but I understand that some of those religious stories actually came from the ordinary experiences of people just like us in a different time, in a different part of the world, right? When Jesus was put up against Barabbas, so the crowd had to decide who they had to pick, right, to be crucified. Christ was an innocent man, right? He spoke of the coming of the kingdom of God, but he didn't create any crime while he was alive on planet Earth. And yet the crowd selected the innocent to be punished while the criminal, well, got off scot-free. And that to me is a parallel for Julian Assange today.
The crowd selected Jesus
to be crucified.
Wow.
And Barabbas was the one left free. But you know, all those stories, they have meaning, right? They have a meaning which is temporal, not so much spiritual. So yes, they're religious stories, but they say something about life on earth, right? They're almost like an allegory, right? It's a story in which a certain idea needs to be communicated, right? Talking about the role of innocent people in our society, and the ones who tell the truth, the ones who want the change, who want to bring about change to the status quo, right? Who want to end wars, who want to liberate people or raise them from poverty. Those people, when they achieve a certain profile in our society, as Julian Assange has, they become the target of power. And power does not relent. Power has never given way to those who want change peacefully, right? Martin Luther King is a testament to that, right? Malcolm X, he said, Leon Trotsky, Lenin, these people wanted the change in this way the world was. And of course, what do they come up against? They came up against power, you know, and their ability to destroy and maintain the status quo. Yeah. Anyone who comes up in this world and wants to change the status quo are going to have the machine of the state smashing up against them.
Free Julian Assange, stand up for the truth. Stand up against government corruption, war crimes. Sign the online petition. Amnesty International have just done a petition as well.
Well, that's right. This can't aiming to do, because there's a lot of great supporting songs out there, and they go into
Habeas corpus or a dictatorship? Good on you, boys. Thank you. Very simple choice. You have habeas corpus or you have a dictatorship. It's not rocket science. We have an ancient code of habeas corpus, and we cannot allow that to be. We don't have habeas corpus and we don't have free speech. We're living in a dictatorship. And they'll come for Assange today, they'll come for you tomorrow. We all have to support Australian citizens being terrorised
by governments. Because what they do to one citizen who is innocent and who's done the right thing in informing the public of something very important, which we all have a right to know if crimes are committed in our name, and we have a right in a democracy to decide whether that should be allowed or not. So we're here to support Julian Assange, and we want you to support him too. Please, we're here every Friday from 4 p.m. and we'd like anyone who's concerned about human rights to come along and help support Assange.
Julian Assange is one of the journalists who exposed a significant trove of evidence that these war crimes have been committed. Evidence that ranges from video footage of a helicopter gunship mowing down innocent civilians in Baghdad, Iraq, and data from the American defense establishment that gives no doubt to the fact that these war crimes have gone unreported and in much more volume than anyone ever up till that point in time could imagine. Free Julian Assange, he exposed all this. Julian Assange! Julian Assange! Only one decision! No extradition! Only one decision! No extradition! Only one decision! No extradition! Free! Julian Assange! Julian Assange! Julian Assange! No extradition! Julian Assange! Inmate! Our mate! Inmate! Our mate! Julian Assange! 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 Played by the rules of the American war machine, everything was cool. Well, somebody broke that mold. That's Julian Assange. Only one decision. Only one decision. Only one decision. No extradition. Only one decision. No extradition. Tell the truth. Free Julian Assange. And what have the Australian politicians on just about every side of Parliament got to say about what's happening to Julian Assange? What have the Liberal Party of Australia saying? Nothing. What does the Labor Party of ALP saying? Nothing. The Green Party is saying absolutely nothing.
Like Maurice Payne, the Australian Minister for Foreign Affairs, was in Washington DC last week, licking the boots of Mike Pompeo. She was a bootlicker for Mike Pompeo and Donald Trump and the American war machine. Maurice Payne. Bob Hawke, who was an agent of the CIA. As revealed by Christopher Boyce, American CIA agent and who was employed out at Pine Gap in the Northern Territory. Christopher Boyce spilled the beans on Bob Hawke and other agents inside the Labor movement as operating as spies for the American government. To this day, the Australian Labor Party is full of US agents and enemies of the working class.
Enemies of Australia. They're enemies of Australia since Bob Hawke. We have been infiltrated. We are no longer safe. We have no freedoms. Our press has been destroyed from the outside. The American war machine have taken over our press, our government, and our streets. It's time to fight back. Let's find unity. Let's find unity in Julian Assange. Let's free the truth. Free Julian Assange.
Free Julian Assange!
Free Julian Assange.
Free Julian Assange!
Free Julian Assange.
Free Julian Assange!
Free Julian Assange. Free Julian Assange.
Free Julian Assange! Free Julian Assange!
Truth and peace. Maybe that's all you need to know when it ultimately peeks through. You need to go it alone. Come on, it ain't that hard. Free Julian Assange. He's being held without charge. Free Julian Assange. Mighty England, all on your own. There's a job to do. Be true to yourself. Stand up. Don't cloud perception with your rules. Come on, it ain't that hard. It ain't that hard. Free Julian Assange. He's being held without charge. It ain't that hard. Free Julian Assange. Let sunlight enter Westminster space. Reflect, reconsider Julian's case. You need to go it alone. He's being held without charge. It ain't that hard. Free Julian Assange. Say no to extradition. It ain't that hard. Free Julian Assange. You can consider your position. It ain't that hard. Free Julian Assange. Come on, it ain't that